Well, all right, guys. I owe you one. Did not do a pocket change market report over the weekend, so we definitely have a little bit of catching up to do. And it's, probably the right time to discuss things here. January 24, 2024. We're going to be perusing down eBay land and checking out some of the coins that I've sold here in the last day or two. They are plentiful, and boy, oh boy, some big dollar coins have hit the open market. And they're all raw. No graded coins. We traditionally don't talk about graded coins because the beauty part about errors and varieties is that you could simply sell them as they are to the eBay universe. Couldn't be easier, and then you get to keep some of that money in your pocket. Costs $30, $40, $60 to grade an error. And sometimes financially it just doesn't make any sense to do that. So I preach that every single video. If you find it, take great pictures, toss it up on eBay, do a 7-day auction, or whatever your flavor is, and reap the rewards of what you can find out there. Now, there's a couple different ways that you could approach this. You could find stuff out in change, coin roll hunting. Of course, let's not forget, there's also the opportunity of cherry picking some of these at coin shops, coin shows, on Facebook, you name it. They're all out there for the taking. All right. So, and the reseller kind of status of this whole thing has never been bigger. And we'll probably end up seeing that here in 2024. Quick little announcement. The first ever sold listing of any measurable amount of 2024 coins comes in the way of 30 rolls of 2024 Denver Lincoln Shield Cents. This lot ended up bringing home $334 in auction, and that was about 2 days ago. So consider that maybe, kind of like where the mark is right now. It's not a full box. If it was a full box, oh boy. I mean, we're talking a difference here of $25 face for a full box, and then $15 face is what this lot sold for after a number of bids. I think there was like 40 bids or something like that. It was pretty crazy, but that is officially our first running sale of anything dated 2024. And those are Denver's too. So, make what you want out of that. But yeah, it's game on. It's time for a hot pursuit, and I hope you guys are looking for those as we continue on during this very, very delicate kind of 10-day period. This window, it's a very short window. If you wait any longer in this, obviously there's going to be more people that are going to be selling these, and it's going to greatly affect how much the other subsequent, boxes or rolls will go for. These will all drop in price eventually. They'll still sell very well through the first few months, but they do tend to settle for around $75 to $100 a box. Not as robust as kind of like what I call day one stuff, but still pretty good nonetheless. All right, so we're going to first take a look at a quick little calendar of events. We have the Cherry Pickers Guide giveaway part due. That's coming up this Friday, January 26th. Of course, we paired that up with a really nice U.S. coin auction that you guys need to check out. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for you folks there on the East Coast. I don't know why I put PST there. I just noticed that. Little typo. I have all these little typos I throw in there, and I do apologize about that. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be back on. The Cherry Pickers Guide giveaway part 1 was a huge success. A lot of people loved it. And we are going to follow suit with the second edition of this. And who knows, we might continue to do this all throughout the winter time as folks are going out there, they're getting familiarized with what they can find and change. In addition, we will also be giving away other books as well. So come check things out here this Friday. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. And of course, we're going to start things out here with a 2023 Lincoln Shield set. I'm pretty sure you guys know where we're heading here with this one. This is the Extra V variety. This was actually the only one that sold in the last 24 hours. We had a very action-packed last 24 hours, but Extra V Lincolns were none of them. We had one, Uno, that did sell here in the last 24 hours, and that's the one you see here. Grade-wise, it's not the best I've seen, and you guys know me. I'll tell you like it is. People are buying these for one sole reason, and that's to grade them, whether it's through Annex, NGC, PCGS. They're getting that attribution, and then they're reselling it and making a few $100s in the process. But the coins have to be in much better shape than this one. Otherwise, it's just a novelty. All right, so right now, things are really up in the air if this is a true, legit variety. You can see that little V notch there next to Victor David Brenner's initials, which is where you need to be looking for them on the truncated bust area of Lincoln. All right, so this one ended up selling for a $50 bill. Again, that's probably a little bit on the high side considering its current condition, which is probably a mid-state 62 or 63. It's been used for a while. And then these coins have been out almost a year. I believe it was March of last year where the first examples of the Extra V were eventually found. The next one that we have here, boy, this one is one I've come across quite a bit. It's a 1957D, a Lincoln wheat cent, and this is neither an error or variety, but rather this is incredibly strong machine doubling. It looks like a doubled die, but it's really not. You could tell here the stair-stepped edges, not to mention that this type of doubling actually takes away from the devices and not add it, where traditional hub doubling does do that. So this occurs when there's a little shake or shimmy in that obverse die. It'll strike the coin, and then there will be a little bit of a shift. It's a micro shift, and you're probably not going to see it. But, due to loosening components on the mid presses, which is a common wear and tear thing on these, you're bound to see these kind of, shifting, points with machine doubling. I was not at all surprised that this one ended up selling for $49.96. Again, more for novelty, and this is one of the strongest machine doubling coins that you could find out there. The 69S MD is also a pretty strong one too. Don't buy into this coin thinking that you're getting some sort of lights out variety, but rather if you need a really nice example of machine doubling, this one is the perfect example of that. All right, pretty neat one here, although one that we've all seen. This is a 1919, very common date, Lincoln wheat cent, and you're going to see the lamination error on the reverse. So there was a little bit of impurities in the metal mix, thereby creating the flaking that you see here. This one sold for $15.45. Note the condition is probably like a VG8, somewhere around there. Nothing too crazy. Here's a 2022 Lincoln Shield cent. Again, Shield cents from the last 5 years. If you're not looking through them, specifically the Philadelphia minted coins, then you're really not taking full advantage of what roll hunting has to offer you. This is a 2022, and you'll see the what we call the good old X-ray eyes strike through right in front of Lincoln's face there, which is just a field restricted strike through. All right, so there was some grease and debris on that die, and it gets shifted around quite a bit from the feeder fingers, thereby creating this anomaly. And they're all generally different shapes and sizes. This one right here sold for $24.86, and that's with 7 bids. So that's not too bad considering that this thing has been around for a few years now, and people still like it because it's sold for this kind of money. Back when they first came out, they were $30, so it's not like that they have, retreated in value by a great extent. This one was $25, and that's the pay table on it, and that's with 7 bids. The next one that we have here is a 1991 Washington quarter. You're going to notice a little bit of the weakness on the strike of the obverse, and maybe just a little bit on the reverse. Simply put, there was some grease on the die. So when it strikes through grease onto the coins, you're going to get a considerable amount of weakness in the strike. This one ended up selling for $6.75, and it is one of the more common mint errors to come across. Here's a 1997 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is a nice condition coin here. Slightly off-center struck, as you can see. Nothing too crazy. Again, we're probably talking, 5% off-center type of strike. This one sold for $10, and that's with 5 bids. Our first piece of paper comes in the way of this 1981A $10 bill. It looks miscut. All right, which is a pretty easy assumption to make, considering that the margin on the left side is non-existent, and you have the print that goes all the way to the edge. Now, when we look at the back, interesting. It's perfectly centered for the most part. So obviously that front print was misaligned, misaligned in a way that the sheet was misaligned and not perfectly centered. This one ended up selling for $84.36. Here in the last day. And we got a nice older type coin here for you. This is a matron head cent without any readable date. So much like the quarter that we looked at earlier, this one was apparently struck through a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of grease, which is still a component that's a necessity for the maintenance of the not only the mint presses but the dies and all the other components. This one right here, even though it doesn't have a readable date, is from like 1837, based off of the head design, and this one sold for $52. Looks like that little divot there on the rim could possibly be a fisher or some sort of clip, or it could just be a well-placed hit. It's kind of hard to tell on this one. And this one particularly neat. I like this one. And this would kind of justify the price value here. 1982 large date copper, double struck. The secondary strike is about 80-85% off center. Guess what? You have 2 readable dates here. But when you look at the reverse, you're going to notice that there is nothing struck there on that off-center part, which would indicate that this is a uniface. There was another coin that was overlapping this one, and they both struck together outside of the collar. So there was definitely a collar malfunction here. This one here sold for $204.98. Beautiful high-end piece, and just evidenced by its sale price. Some would say, yeah, grade this puppy. It deserves it, and you can too. Not saying that you don't have to. I'd probably use like maybe Annex, to keep the cost down, if you need to, but not really a necessity. I know a lot of people that collect these and love them raw. And here's one that we see on occasion. I finally ended up obtaining my first one. This is a 2022P Sally Ride American Women quarter. There was no real good reverse image here, but the goods is going to be right on that ponytail of Mr. Georgie Boy here, which is yet again another field restricted strike through. That's a struck through grease and debris issue there. This one sold for $28.50, which has been a very lofty amount of money. These things got down to like $5-10, and if you did enough digging, you probably still get it for around $5-10. This one just so happens to be probably more of an anomaly in value than anything else. And here's another lamination too, 1944P. This is indeed a silver war nickel. The seller did a great job with the guide arrows that you see there. Yeah, it's a double-sided lamination. Not the best looking condition coin. There's some carbon spotting on the reverse, which obviously is more of a corrosion type of affair. It does impact the value of coins. And this was a common issue on silver war nickels, as they were still trying to somewhat figure out how to combine the silver, the manganese, and copper all together in one coin. And you came up with things like this, which is kind of par for the course. So this one here, $21.99. Again, that's pretty good considering you could just buy a raw silver war nickel that's in this condition for around $2. So pretty good deal here. And this is one of two, keep in mind, two. And we usually don't see two maybe in a month. That's how infrequently we see these kind of errors. But this is a 2001 Lincoln Memorial set. It was double struck, flip over in collar. All right. So that's why you have what looks to be an imprint of the memorial building right on the obverse with Lincoln's bust. And the vice versa on the reverse on there too. So the coin did not eject properly out of the striking chamber. Instead, it flipped over to the other side, and then it struck again, that same coin. This time you got a really nice morphing of both the obverse and reverse images on one coin. This one sold for $600 as a buy it now hit. And this is one of my favorites. I've never found or owned one of these. And I've been hunting for well in excess of 20, 25 years here. That tells you just the pure scarcity of these coins. And one of the most dramatic paper money errors that I've seen here in quite some time. This is a really dramatic misaligned overprint error. As you can see, the serial numbers and seals are all cattywampus here on this one. And the note is in phenomenal shape too. This was probably found very early on. When we look at the reverse, there you go. A little bit of circulation wear, not a whole lot, but it's surprising to see just even a little bit of wear on this one. It sold for $149.95. And 1981 Jefferson nickel. Okay, don't be fooled. This one does look off center, but if you look at the reverse, it's perfectly centered. So what gives here? This is simply a misaligned dies issue. Kind of like that piece of paper we just saw in the previous listing. The Obverse die definitely had some play to it when they were striking these coins. There was a little looseness to it. So this one sold for $29.95. And our next piece of paper is the 1985 $20 bill, which features a nice little butterfly fold or a fold over. So that corner of that sheet did fold over and then printed over. As you can see, here's a nice little look at the reverse, showing just a little bit of the black design on that butterfly. So again, another incredibly well collected piece of paper. This one ended up selling for $225. Okay, the market right now for currency errors has never been as strong as it is today. Here's a 2021 Lincoln Shield Sen. We call this the smoker because there's a strike through coming out of Lincoln's mouth. It looks like he just smoked a cigar or a pipe or something and blown out, the smoke. So yeah, that's a little bit of a field restricted strike through. This one sold for $45.10. And a lot of that has to do with where the strike through is. Again, there's these coincidental placements of strike throughs that really add more value to a coin if it's in the right place. Here's the other double struck Lincoln set. This time what I presume to be copper 1982 small date Lincoln Memorial that has been flipped over and double struck. Okay, kind of one of the craziest things because there wasn't a really good full reverse image that you see. This is the best that was offered by the seller. But if you look at the secondary date, you guys see that? It looks like a 1980s other date there. It's a large date type of font because it's got a larger 8. From what I could see, it could just be that the design on the second strike was flattened out to where it looks a lot bigger. But this, ladies and gentlemen, again, another big coin. I actually had my eye on this one for like 4 days. I'm like, the way it was worded and described, there is no way that this thing would have gotten the full potential of what people were expecting. Boy, was I wrong. I figured, oh yeah, I'll be ready to put a $150 to $200 bid on this because I've always wanted one. But that was just not the case. This one ended up selling for $1,036.86 with 49 bids. Wow. Oh, breathtaking. And it's not graded. Might I remind you guys that this thing is not encapsulated in any graded plastic, which is just phenomenal to me. But yeah, this is like one of the biggest news stories of the last day or so. I talked about it before in a short little video, and I'm just glad to talk about it formally in the Pocket Change Market Report for this week. Here's a 1988 Lincoln Memorial set. This one's off-center by about 20-25%. Nice full readable date. Great for a date set. This one sold for $34.99. And we also have a 1977 Roosevelt dime. This one's off-center by about 10%. All of a sudden, Roosevelt dime off-center has been getting a lot of attention to it lately, to the point where it's really affected the values on these in a positive way. This one right here ended up selling for $61.78. And here's also a 1944 Philly Lincoln wheat cent. This one has a nice Obverse cut. It's right on top of Lincoln's head there. So a piece of the die had cracked and fallen out just through general wear and tear of the dies. So when they strike the coins, the pressure pushes the metal flow of the coin into that empty cavity, thereby creating a raised anomaly. This one right here did sell for $50.99, and that's with 9 total bids. And Coins and Cards had a couple bangers like he usually does. Here's a 1913S Type 2 Buffalo Nickel. Considering the fact that this is one of the key dates of the series with a very low mintage, this one has phenomenal looking die clashing on the obverse. You can even see it on the reverse a little bit, right where E pluribus unum is. But yeah, the clashing right under the Indian's chin, right in front of his eyes, back of the neck. Yeah, the seller even called this one the bearded Indian variety, and that there's no such thing. It's just a really strong die clashing. Coin's in phenomenal shape too. It's easily an AU level coin. This one sold for $597.88, and that's with 42 total bids. So, again, not surprised that there was this kind of activity. It is one of the chaser dates of the series. And Coins and Cards, he had also this beautiful 1912S Lincoln wheat cent. This thing is amazing. I'd probably dare say at the very minimum this is an AU 58 brown kind of level. There's just a touch of wear right above his ear and cheekbone. But yeah, this is also a nice little repunched mint mark. So the secondary S mint mark is punched east and slightly north in relation to the primary mint mark on here. And just a great date. I love this one of my favorites. $152.50, and that's with 47 total bids. Another stunner. Here's also another good one, but also keep in mind the condition. This is not like a high-end coin here. It's a 1949D Lincoln wheat cent. This one is actually a triple punched repunched mint mark. It's FS501 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Here's what it looks like, so you can see the further Denver mint mark that was punched north and east of the primary, and then you do also have a secondary one in there as well that's punched a little bit north. RPM number 1 as well, and $19.99 was the sale price here. Again, that's all due to the condition. If it was a much nicer shape, I've seen this particular one, sell for upwards of like $50-$60 in AU condition. And yeah, I love this coin. I just sold one on my Whatnot stream. This is a 1970s Lincoln Memorial set that was struck through a late stage cap die. So there was actually a coin that was stuck to the Obverse die or the hammer die, whatever you want to say about it. So it was striking a bunch of other coins with wearing this Lincoln Cent hat on there. And after a number of strikes, it flattens out, to the point where the actual original design devices of the die press through that thin cap, and it creates coins like this. So this one sold for $24, and that's with 5 bids. Here's also a 1978 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Another impressive Cud die break. You can see that Cud just below the date there. That covers even a little bit of Mr. Lincoln's jacket area. Again, same issue here with this one. Simply just a piece of the die had cracked and fallen away. Probably heading to a much more terminal state at this point. This one sold for $53.95, and that's 11 bids. Again, Cuds are king in today's marketplace, so you definitely want to take advantage of that if you need the extra money. And again, more coins that I haven't talked about in a while. Did we all forget about the, the 2019, this is the Lowell National Park quarter that features the earring die chip, or whatever you want to call it. I've heard a few theories on what this is called, but yeah, this thing is still out there, and it's not going to disappear. You might find more that's more worn than anything else. But this one's really neat. Okay, and then because of that, this one ended up selling for $29.95 with a couple bids. Again, a little bit of interest out there, but I think a lot of people that did want this ended up obtaining theirs a long time ago. And another Cud. I'm telling you, the Cuds were very prominent this week. Here's a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Cent. The Cud this time is on the reverse. It's on the right wheat stalk, as you can see there. This is actually one of the more common ones I found, probably a half a dozen of these with just casual searching. So this one right here is attributed on the website cudsoncoins.com, which is a great reference if you're looking for Cuds and retained die breaks and other different types of things like that. So this one right here sold for $50.40 with 13 bids. Very strong price on this one. And here's another coin I was looking after also. I thought about bidding on this one, but decided to let it go. Not so much because of the price, because I knew it would be a performing coin on the market. It's an 1889 Indian Head Cent. It's a technical VF kind of grade. It's got all the letters in Liberty. It does have a few marks as far as what I can see. A couple digs in the coin. That was mostly the reason why I kind of decided not to get this, but it's off center by about 15-20%. These type of errors on obsolete type coins like this are really incredibly desirable because there's just not a lot of them out there to fulfill demand. And this one sold for $209.16 with 23 total bids. Again, it is a very active sale on this one. Another Indian Head Cent. Again, another fan favorite. This is the 1894 Indian Head Cent. It's one of the lower minted keys after 1880. As a matter of fact, I think it's the lowest minted coin that's not an S mint mark Indian that exists out there past 1880. But this is the overdate, the 1894 over 1894. It's more of a repunch date than anything else. When we look up closer here, you can see the extra punching of the 9 and 4 very strongly. And then you can also see it on the 1 and 8 as well. So this one right here sold for $143.99. This one is featured in the Red Book, the Cherry Picker's Guide, and a lot of other mainline attribution books out there. So this one is very well known in the community. All right, we're grabbing on to the last few listings from this week's Pocket Change Market Report. Here's yet again another fold over error, this time on a 1981 $1 bill. You can see the fold over there on the bottom right corner. So there was a corner of sheet fold that was never unfolded during I would say the printing and the cutting process. So it was even folded in when it was cut. Yeah. So yeah, there's some things going on here where it's like, oh wow, how could they miss something like this? But they do. But you can see the void there when it was folded over and the print over. It's just really cool to see. This one sold for $159.94, and that's with 8 bids. Again, another strong performing paper money error, and one to be expected for something like this. Here's a 1918S Buffalo Nickel. I remember this one. I found a few of them. But there is something missing here. If you had guessed that third feather on the Indian, you are correct. This is a good one to find here. It's one of the more better pursued dates because it is an earlier date and it's a tough date to boot as well. So this one, a 3-feather variety, is also recognized in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And it sold for $250. This one was a buy it now hit. And the final coin of this edition of the PCMR, how about 1981 Lincoln Memorial Set? This one also has a cut die break right there over the word trust in the motto. The picture's very dark here, but maybe if I did this, you could see the actual cut die break anomaly right there covering first few letters of trust. Again, it's not the biggest one, but I'm willing to bet, based off of condition, that this one did circulate for a while. So this one right here sold for $34.11, and that's with 7 total bids. And that, my friends, just in a blink of an eye, signals the end of the Pocket Change Market Report. Keep in mind, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Entertain yourself by going to the bank and cherry picking your local coin shop. You're going to have a ton of fun doing that. Not financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly as usual. But that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. You guys have some hunting to do. We are in the middle of the winter doldrums, so now's a really good time to do all this stuff. If you're not an avid skier or a snowboarder and you got a lot of downtime until, the weather gets warmer, then go to the bank and, get yourself some rolls, because you just never know when the next big hitter is going to be lurking around the corner. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell for instant notifications. I haven't said that in a long while, but now may be a good time to rehash that once more. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Best of luck in your hunts, and I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care.